Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reality Whisperer Webcast. Just take a moment to fix my camera a bit there. There we go. All right, thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Reality Whisperer Webcast. And of course, we have a very exciting episode for all of you tonight. This is going to be an open discussion. So basically, tonight, for all of our listeners, or viewers, I should say, rather, all you have to do is just go onto the watch page, and you'll see our live chat window there. And you can go ahead and share some topics, some subjects, some questions that you would like to talk about this evening. So we're going to be getting more into the show here in just a couple of minutes. Firstly, what we're going to do is just go through our announcements. The first one is the Expansion Teachings Channeling Mastery. So this is again a live event that's going to be happening on Sunday, November 20th, starting in Victoria, BC. And it's going to be happening at the Church of Truth. So for those of you in the Victoria, British Columbia, Canada area, you can go ahead and sign up for this upcoming live event. Again, Channeling Mastery, the very first Expansion Teachings live event. It is also going to be live streamed through a webinar software that I'll be using. And so anybody throughout the world will be able to tune in to this live event. Again, Channeling Mastery. So again, just go to realitywhisperer.com. You'll see the poster there, and go ahead and register. And again, whether you're attending in person or you're attending online, we're going to have a really amazing time. We're going to have some sound healing that's going to take place in the beginning of the event. And then we're going to explore a lot more about the nature of channeling and how to connect with your subconscious levels, being able to connect with spirit guides, the higher self, and even parallel selves. So there'll even be some guided meditations as well. It's kind of like looking at a personal channeling classroom or channeling workshop. So I'm really looking forward to this event happening in Victoria, BC on Sunday, November 20th. Now this is going to be our new format. Every 2 weeks there will be a new episode of the Reality Whisperer webcast. So again, the reason being is because I'm just getting a lot of sessions right now. I'm actually booked up almost for the next 2 weeks for just a lot of amazing things that are just coming down the pipe right now, and just being able to work with some incredible people. So I decided to make, I'll make the Reality Whisperer webcast a bi-weekly thing. But our next episode, happening in 2 weeks' time, is going to be a special with Adronis. It's going to be called Adronis Celestial Bodies, diving deeper into the workings of our galaxy with scientific and channeled extraterrestrial knowledge. So basically how this is going to work is it's a type of PowerPoint presentation where one of the slides will show a lot of the scientific data as it pertains to a lot about our galaxy. When it comes to stars, when it comes to nebula, when it comes to a lot of different forms of phenomena. We're going to firstly look at some of the scientific explanation, and then Adronis is going to come through and he's going to be giving channeled information as it relates to that subject. So it's really going to be one-of-a-kind channeling that's never been done before. And so I'm really looking forward to doing this amazing webcast again in 2 weeks. So that'll be on Tuesday, November 22nd, here on YouTube live stream. So feel free to tune into that. We'll also be taking Q&A with Adronis at the end of the presentation. But again, this is going to really explore a lot more about our galaxy, finding out more about the mechanics of it, but not just the mechanics, finding out more about the essence, the soul of the galaxy, that again Adronis is going to be talking about through channeled knowledge. Then, of course, we have Adronis Fourth Density Teachings Part 2. Profound integration and insight from the multi-dimensional mentor as we immerse ourselves into the next dimension of reality. So this is going to be happening at the end of the month, Sunday, November 27th, starting at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And again, it's just a continuation from Part 1, where Adronis was talking more about the shift of actually moving into fourth density. In this, it's going to actually look more into living into fourth density and being able to see what type of cultures we're going to be experiencing when we move into a fourth density world. Being able also to look more into the idea of repopulation protocol. Looking more into intervention fleets as well too, where intervention is taking us as we move more into fourth density. So there's going to be a lot of extensive information being brought forward through this one, Fourth Density Teachings Part 2. All right, so again, everybody, I hope your weekend has been great. I know everybody's talking about the November 8th elections today. Right. That's just my own perspective. But anyways, I hope the day has been good for all of you, and I want to thank you all for joining me on the call tonight on their webcast. So I'm just going to make sure if I can access the watch page. Let's take a moment here. My chat doesn't seem to be working here. Let me see. So I'm just going to go pop on the live page here, the watch page, and to see if I can access the live chat. Okay. All right, there we go. So I'm able to get some, finally able to get the chat working now. All right, so again, everyone, again, welcome. So if you guys do have some questions or just some subjects that you would like to talk about tonight, then please feel free to submit it into the chat room here. I'm just going to open up the chat window just so I can get a better view. Okay, it still wants to turn blank. Okay, weird. Okay. All right. So again, if you guys do have some topics that you want to discuss tonight, just feel free to type it into the chat here. Okay, so it looks like we got one here from... Okay, so what we're going to do firstly, guys, is we're just going to have subjects to talk about. We're going to get into Q&A here in a little bit. But again, there's some personal questions coming in, so we just want to try and keep the subject a little bit more generalized in regards to what anyone may have on their mind. So again, if you guys do have personal questions, save that for the Q&A. That will be coming later on. So we have one here from ALW Media. Topic, developing a positive media presence as a psychic medium channel. It's very interesting topic there. Well, basically when we're looking into getting into the media, because this is actually a very, very good topic, being able to see that a lot more of the grassroots, a lot more in regards to psychic teaching, intuitive teaching, the nature of spirituality, actually bringing this more into the mainstream. It's about building a following. That's really the most important part here, is being able to really getting yourself noticed, talking about the topics that a lot of people are talking about, and really just starting off and enjoying your grassroots success in that particular way. Again, for me, doing this now for 8 years, and now just starting to create the Reality Whisperer webcast, and coming on every week and sharing these incredible topics, and even having some awesome guests that have been a part of the show, that feels great to me. And I think if a lot of people are really tuning into that, I think there's really a very strong state of importance to having the media as it relates to psychic development, spiritual teachings, to keep it very grassroots. I think if we get too corporatized, or if we really try and bring it into the mainstream to me really right now at this time represents censorship. So I feel that even if it did get into something like, for example, if Reality Whisperer Webcast became something that was offered in the mainstream, I would probably turn it down. The reason being is because there would be a lot of censorship, and there would just be a lot of things that I really couldn't talk about, because it's basically, if you're looking at millions of people that tap into that particular mainstream aspect, I don't know, like say ABC or CBS or NBC or whatever, there will certainly be a large scaling down of that. What I think is really important is just being able to build up more of a grassroots effort, putting a lot of grassroots energies, something that almost seems kind of underground, relating to psychic media, spiritual media, developing your intuition, working with healing. And I think that, again, this is where the purest content can come from. I think it's more so in the idea that when the mainstream actually learns to work more with the grassroots alternative stream, that's the type of media that I would love to see get popular all over the world, and not so much just limiting it to national coverage, but actually making something effective worldwide. You know, having people from Australia, having people from Europe, Asia, North America, South America, putting everybody together and having some amazing content that can be shared, because it is very, very important to take knowledge from different places. For people, again, who are working within the spirituality, metaphysics, and consciousness fields, it's important that we're looking very much into the ancient teachings as well, too, that we're working with the shamanic point of view, the mystic point of view, connections to ancient mastery schools, psychic mastery schools, right? When we start to look into a lot of that ancient knowledge and bringing that back, to me, I think that's one of the most incredible things we could do, especially if we're looking into alternative social media. So to making that aspect big, you really just need to start talking and demonstrating and sharing what you know, and being able to continue to share that. It's very, very important, again, that we're not attempting to shove anything down a person's throat. And that's what I've always been very, very cautious of, is not making sure that everything I say needs to be the gospel and it's the absolute truth. When you're dealing with spirituality, consciousness, and metaphysics, you're dealing with perspectives. You're dealing with subjectivity. There is no the truth. There is no aspect of that this is the way. So really being able to have a lot of great diversity in regards to what you wish to teach, be it psychic development, intuitive healing, whatever it may be. Just being able to share your perspective, see how it works for you, being able to work together with other people, being able to take new ideas into concepts and making that a part of yourself as well too. This is again why I feel it's so important to look at a student-master quality rather than just the idea of only being a master, of only being a teacher. Right, being able to really take those qualities and saying that, wow, this was a very, very interesting topic that somebody suggested that I didn't know about. Fascinating. I'd like to take a look at it and integrate more into that. So I think the more flexible you are and the more that you're able to talk about a vast amount of information as it pertains to the media that, again, represents consciousness, spirituality, and metaphysics, I think that's something that could be very, very successful. Will eventually the corporatized media catch on? Absolutely, they will. There will be some certain forms of shows, I'm sure, that will talk more about psychic ability or psychic development. Although, we'd love to hope that those types of shows remain in integrity, remain their purity through the idea of their broadcast. But with a lot of these corporate structures, that's a challenging thing to say. But if we're looking into like big streams of networks that are starting to come online through like Gaia TV and ones like this, that's great. That's very, very transformational that we're getting things like that together. But I would just say, again, continue to develop your channel here. Start with the grassroots. Start with the alternative streams. Develop a following. Enjoy yourself. Start talking more about what you know. Share your examples with the people. Continue to progress in that way and see where reality takes you. If that's something that leads you into something big, awesome. Go for it. And if that's something that you wish to follow, by all means, continue to do so. All right, so thank you so much for your question. Let's move on to the next one. I'm just going to scroll up the chat room here yet. Let's see. Okay. All right, here's an interesting one here from Michelle Field. She asks, question, could you please help explain what the Mandela effect is? Okay. Well, I've done quite a few videos in the past with the Mandela effect or just talking on the Mandela effect as well too. It's something that is definitely getting a lot more momentum, and I'm glad to see that. Basically, the whole idea is that, if we were to look at it in a nutshell, is that many people are experiencing other memories of functioning within a different universe where other particular forms of continuity-based events took place, but because they have shifted into a new universe, those memories are no longer in that stream of continuity with how the current universe is composed of its continuity-based timeline. So basically, some people may dismiss it as saying, oh, these are just false memories, these people are just, this, that, they're crazy, or, they're just managing things, etc. So if we're looking at something like the Berenstain Bears, right? So the universe that I came from, it was known as the Berenstain Bears. As I watched that show, I read those books when I was a little kid. And being able to see this change that took place from the Berenstain Bears to the Berenstain Bears, to me, was quite a shocker. There's another one that just happened recently with C-3PO from Star Wars with a silver leg, right? So being able to look at these different forms of memories or these different types of continuities that have taken place in our universe, in our indigenous universe now, and comparing those particular types of memories to what we experienced. Again, one of the biggest Mandela effects was about Nelson Mandela. Many people believe that he died within the 80s and that he was still alive recently, until recently being passed away. So again, these are, these types of continuities for us shifting from one particular universe to another. Now basically, from what I have received, I'm just going to move my microphone back so I don't keep smacking it. What I have received as well too is around the time of 2012 that we went through this incredible shift, and that this incredible shift allowed an inversion of the universe to split in that way, basically create a mitosis of itself, and basically forming itself together via a rainbow bridge. And basically the reason why it was doing this is because a new density has been brought into the universal mainframe. And so basically we came from a 12 density mainframe consciousness on a universal plateau to a 13 density platform. And basically what's happening is that the third density and the fourth density are merging. They are hybridizing themselves together. This is why there's a transition between third and fourth right now. Normally that would not happen. The whole idea is that you're in third density and then you move up to fourth density. But because there's a haze, a hue in that way, a blending, a blur between third and fourth density, this is the reason why this universal mainframe has inverted upon itself as singularity and created two particular universes. And again, creating this rainbow bridge for us to move from one universe to another. And when we shift in that particular way, the continuity of everything that represents the Akashic intelligence of that universe is now at a state of change. And so now we're looking into moving into an entirely different universe on a parallel level that has had these different forms of significant changes. Is there a reason these kind of minute changes have happened? Well, CERN has been playing with their Large Hadron Collider. And basically, from what I have been told from Adronis, is that there's a group known as the Time Police, or Time Corporation, or Time Corps in that way. Basically, they exist in about 30 years in the future, and they basically set themselves up to move into a 30-year stream between ourselves and their own reality as well too. And because CERN has basically attempted to use time travel to change events within our past so that it favors more of governmental corporate control in that way, they haven't been able to do this. This is why CERN has been broken down over and over and over and over again, is because there are these particular agents that come from the Time Police or that come from Time Corps to basically, when there is a very large attempted intervention of time travel or manipulating time, that they will do something to throw a wrench in the works as it pertains to CERN or any other particular type of high technology that will attempt to manipulate time. And so basically all of their attempts to create a majority of time shifts have failed. Because again, there's other beings that even work together with these agencies that can be referred to as the keepers of time, or the game masters in that way. And so basically they are providing them with instructions, they're giving them all of this particular news if there are attempts in the timeline to basically go through these different shifts. But what has been permissible are these minute shifts. So C-3PO having a silver leg could be something that was done by CERN. Okay, something in regards to Nelson Mandela being alive, not dying in the 80s, passing away not too long ago. That could have been something done by CERN. Okay, there could also again be other particular forms of natural occurrences taking place just from the differentiations of a different Akashic continuity, our own universal mind in that way, going through these minute fluctuation changes as we're moving ourselves from one dimension into another. That again can corroborate different forms of changes in continuity that we may be discovering, different titles of movies, being able to notice that there are different colored houses upon our block, meeting new people who are coming into our life and almost feeling like instant friends and we haven't even met them before. These can all be particular Mandela effects, right? So basically the Mandela effect is all about a change in continuity, a change in regards to our references and themes and memory. But again, I do feel that a lot of it does hold a responsibility for CERN and for anything else that holds that high technological capability of time travel. But again, utilizing a group like Time Corps or the intervention fleets as well too. They work to, again, try to keep the majority of anything that would be worldwide impactful down in regards to keeping a sanitation on that. So it feels like there's been a lot of different shifts taking place, as we discovered recently, relating to, again, differentiations in theme as it pertains to memory. So I hope that explanation helps relating to the Mandela effect. And again, I could do an entire show on it. It's very, very vast. But to basically keep a nutshell version of it, that is what it would entail about the continuity of memory, references, and themes changing as we have moved from one universe to another, or attempted to bypass time travel or time events to basically try and curry in favor with the idea of corporate, political, governmental aspects that have been foiled through the interventions of the intervention fleets and through time corps. Okay, so I hope that helps with you. Okay, so moving on here. Okay. I'm just reading through these questions here, find out what would be a good one to talk about here. Okay, here's a very interesting one here from Spencer. Spencer McDonald asks, Brad, what is the role of healers in the coming decades? It seems as though third density entities will have trouble healing, and those who graduate will heal automatically. No, it doesn't really work that way, Spencer. The whole idea, again, and this is something that is actually a very good topic to discuss, is the whole idea of switching into moving into a fourth density. Now, again, a lot of people have come to me in sessions as well too and saying, oh, you know what, Brad, I just want fourth density to get here, then I don't have to worry about anything, and everything's good, and I'm done, right? And I don't have to worry about anything else. And then everything just gets repaired for me. No, it doesn't work that way. There is never anything outside of yourself that is going to repair your own emotional traumas, that's going to repair everything that you're holding on to. It doesn't matter if you're trans-dimensionally shifting from fourth density to fifth density to 200,000th density, right? That doesn't matter. The whole key here is that we are all taking responsibility for ourselves. We are taking responsibility for the type of healing work that we are doing as human beings. It is not through the idea of feeling because we're going through a trans-dimensional shift, that we're moving through this transitional time, that when we get to the other side, everything's fine. We don't need to worry about it. We're done. We're perfect. No, it does not work that way. And I'm not even too sure what the rationality is for people who even feel that that's what's happening, because it's not. You know, the whole key here is that we are working on ourselves right now, and to work on ourselves is a transitional process. To go through this particular transitional process and work with ourselves on an emotional level requires our own dedication, our commitment to look into other aspects of ourselves that we have felt to be inadequate, that we have cast off, that we have made into shadows, and that we have thrown into corners. Because we throw those energies in the corner, it's not to say, oh, fourth density Earth is coming, don't have to worry about these shadows, they're staying in third density, bye. No. These are part of you, and this is basically the whole idea of what is weighing you down. The whole idea is that those shadows cannot detach from you. They are not separate from you, right? You're not going to feel that you're going to cast off all of this emotional debris and feel that you are free and not being able to look back at them, because they will follow you lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. This is actually what prevents graduation from moving from a third density to a fourth density reality, is because you have not given yourself the time to look at the shadows that you have been casting on the walls. And saying that, you know, okay, I don't want to look at this because it makes me feel insecure. I don't want to look at this because it makes me feel like I don't have any value. I don't want to look at this because I don't feel loved, right? And so I'm going to just cast those off, and I'll go right into fourth density, and that will be it. So the whole idea here is, in a nutshell, do not think that this trans-dimensional shift is going to bail you out of your problems or bail you out of your emotional situations. It does not work that way, right? Never has worked that way, never will work that way. You need to take responsibility for absolutely everything that you have worked with energetically in this lifetime. If you are feeling horrible about yourself, you need to use emotion, release emotion, and let emotion point you back into that area of the shadow self that is telling you this is when that moment happened. This is when this fracture of myself took place. And this is where I need to revisit. I need to look back at that. And emotion is my greatest ally to do that, because my emotion is telling me this is why I'm feeling upset. This is why I'm feeling frustrated. This is why I'm feeling sad. This is why I'm feeling angry. Because I can look into that emotional state, and now I can look at myself back when I was 6 years old. And when I was 6 years old, I went through this tragedy with my parents. And I felt like I was just being yelled at, like I was good for nothing, that I was useless, etc. And I still hold that to this very day, because I continued to believe that. I continue to believe that there is nothing that I can offer, that there's no value, that anything that I do is going to mean anything. And so I continue to subscribe to that belief system over and over and over and over again, because that's what I felt I was worth. That's what I felt was valid for me, right? So you need to look back into that aspect of that moment and saying that, well, I'm not a 5-year-old kid anymore, right? Everything that happened in that time was what I felt was valid, because everybody was telling me, oh, you're not good for nothing, you're worthless, and you're this and you're that and the other thing. And so I'm going to adopt all of that as a little kid. But as I get older, I'm seeing how I'm improving, how I'm working with myself on a spiritual level, how I'm starting to see such great transformations taking place. Am I in this exact same unique spot as I was when I was 5 or 6 years old? No. So I need to look back into that aspect of the 5 or 6-year-old version of myself and work in loving that version of myself and being able to come to terms and accept. That's the big word here, capital letters, and accept everything that has happened up to that particular point in that timeline when I was 5 or 6 years old, and telling that version of myself, you are not useless. Because here I am now, 30 some odd years old, and I've transformed myself spiritually. And it's all thanks to everything that you went through as this little kid, to going through all of these assortments of events and making me who I am. Thank you so much. And I no longer have any quarrels about that aspect of my shadow. So I realize now what that was doing for me, that I needed to go through all these sequences of events to become who I am right now. Thank you so much for that. That is a beautiful thing. And so I'm putting all of that emotion, I'm letting all of that emotion out. I'm letting that emotion speak for itself. I'm now becoming empty. As I become empty, I'm now putting positive reinforcement to where there was negative conflict in my body, in my mind, in my soul. I'm putting that in together with myself now, and I'm starting to move to new heights. So now I'm not carrying the burden of feeling that I'm leaving all of these shadows behind because they don't represent me. They're not who I am. Of course they are. They're all part of you. You experienced that. You gave yourself the validity of saying that that is the value of your shadow, to feel useless, to feel that you have absolutely no value whatsoever. That was something that you imprinted upon yourself. It is never another person that is imprinting that on you. It is you opening up your doors and saying that, all right, this person thinks I'm useless, so I guess I'll be obedient to that opinion. I'll put that opinion in such a high light because they must be better than me, they're older than me, or they've been doing this longer than me, etc. And so I'll open my doors and I'll feel enslaved to that idea of feeling that I have no value, that I have no absolute worth whatsoever, right? And so we cast off these particular shadows because of emotional trauma. It is the trauma within ourselves that are preventing us from moving ahead, right? So it's not the idea in that sense, well, there's these third density people, and I don't know if they're ever going to work with healing with themselves and that stuff, but what about us that are going to move into fourth density? It's all about challenges. We're going to move through challenges. We're going to have these situations of trauma within our life. But the whole key here about a person who can really adapt themselves to kindness, firstly has to start with themselves. You start with your own level of kindness. You work together with yourself. You tell yourself and saying that enough of the distractions for one day. Let me spend some time on myself today. And today I'm going to look into these situations that I feel are still bothering me, because I feel this nagging energy behind me. I want to sit with that energy. I want to look at that energy. I want to express that emotion as it comes out, and being able to trace it back to its source so that I can heal this shadow, so I can accept it, I can acknowledge it, I can forgive it. Then I achieve liberation. Now I bring myself into a whole new light, right? And now, in that new light, I can feel a lot more kinder. I feel a lot more loving. I feel a lot more accepting of myself. I no longer feel those burdens of thought in that sense. So you see, what you did here was you being able to become your own savior, was to become your own responsibility. There is no outside savior, period. It does not matter about a transdimensional shift. The people who are not able to make that shift are the people who continuously cast off their own shadows, their own shades of inadequacy and conflict. That is what grounds you into a third density world. And basically, as Adronis has said, and I said as well too, this early bird shift that has happened this year is very, very small, very, very tiny. Again, anywhere from maybe 1% to 5%, maybe even less than that. We'll really be able to see this glimpse of fourth density. And those people are ones that are working on themselves. They're not the ones that say, haha, you fools, I'm new age, and I'm evolved, and I'm taking care of myself. I'm channeling this guide, and I'm channeling this being, and I'm so evolved, ha ha ha, right? It's not that kind of arrogance, right? It's more so in the idea that you are working very diligently with yourself. You're working with these shadows that have been attempting to get your attention for a very, very long time, because it's all about us finishing our work. And that's really what it is. Whenever we get into this state of working with shadows, of feeling these aspects of emotional traumas coming through, we're doing our work. We're being able to tie everything back together. So that's really the whole idea. That is how you move into a graduation, when you actually start growing up, in the best way I can put it, and being able to take responsibility for everything that you have done. Everything, again, through conscious and through subconscious aspects. And you say, well, Brad, I don't know how to get in touch with that. Then you have basically a broken heart. Your heart has been shattered so much, you may not know how to feel anymore, right? So you need to repair that heart. You need to give yourself time to look into how much that heart has been hurt, and focusing on that heart and bringing a lot more feminine energy into yourself. Because again, we all get heavily masculine. Men and women can both get very, very heavily masculine and say, oh, I just, push it aside. It's not important. I got other things to do. I got a life to live. I can't deal with all this shadow stuff, etc. That's the most important part of your life. It's not your bank account. It's not your car payment. It's not your house. It's not your job. It's you. It's your shadows. It's yourself. That is the trueness to life. There's no other way to live. So if you constantly neglect your shadows, if you constantly neglect your emotional trauma, it will come back and come back and come back. And each time it comes back, it will become more intense. There is nothing more important in this world than working with your own shadows, than working about how you can allow your life to truly work so strongly and passionately and beautifully for yourself. But in order for that to happen, you need to look at everything that you are confined to, everything that you feel self-confined with. Again, I talked about people that are looking into this new world order and Illuminati and stuff like that. Whatever it is that makes a crutch out of the situation,